Britain's royal family doesn't like tattletales, but that hasn't stopped some insiders from spilling secrets. Meet the Queen's former butler and hear how royalty lets their hair down.
If they want to run down a corridor, they will. If they want to sing, they will.
Then, speaking of butlers, ever wanted one for yourself? We'll meet Portland's own butler service.
And First Lady Pat Nixon seemed to stand in the background, but daughter Julie tells us how she was really a go-getter in her husband's career.
Well, a Friday rolls around once again here on Channel 8's PM Magazine. Glad you could join us this evening. I'm Jack McGowan.
And I'm Elaine Busby. We decided to get in the Mother's Day spirit and celebrate a little bit early down here at the New Market Village. And later on in the show, we are giving away a $500 gift certificate to Little Audrey's for all these wonderful mums, flowers. You name it, that's a lot.
Well, Mother's Day, why not, right? Well, our first story this evening is about intrigue. Royal intrigue in London. Now, we're not talking about spy-related stuff. We're talking about what goes on behind those royal walls.
This is the stuff people love to hear about, and who tells it better but some royal snoops?
They live lives right out of fairy tales. Their ceremonies are spectacles that amaze the world. Their style becomes the style. Their secrets are their secrets.
If you start telling tales out of school, then you get cut dead.
Britain's royal family symbolizes the majesty that was and is England. But the royal throne is not without its thorns. You see, our curiosity has given birth to a new breed of spies, insiders who once outside tend to run away at the royal mouth.
The quickest way to get slapped down by a member of the royal family is to be over-familiar, so they want you to keep a distance.
In the past few years, the tattletales have included Stephen Barry, the private valet to Prince Charles. His book came on the heels of his resignation. It was banned in England. He was banned from Buckingham. Princess Michael of Kent penned her pals as well. She became an inside-outer and paid the price with the Queen. Only her hairdresser knew for sure. Kevin Shanley used to coif Lady Di while he picked up tidbits in the crimping room. Now, Mr. Shanley sold his story to a London tabloid for a huge sum of money. Obviously, he's no longer doing Lady Di's hair, but he's also no longer talking. Apparently, the money made him wealthier and wiser. But who was next to jump on the royal bandwagon? Well, to coin a phrase, the butler did it.
Good afternoon, sir. What would you prefer, red or white?
Mr. Russell, I'll have white, please.
And I must admit I liked it because I like the trappings we got with it. No sort of parades to attend, and extra long weekends off, and riding around in larger cars, and eating better quality food to what I've been brought up to.
Peter Russell was a royal butler for 14 years. He served dukes and duchesses, princes and princesses, and of course, the Queen.
Well, she's not an ordinary person, that's for sure, but a far more relaxed person behind doors. When you're in the house with them as a family, that is really quite different. They can let their hair down, which is...
How did they do that? What would be a good example?
Just by behaving like you and I do. If they want to run down the corridor, they will. If they want to sing, they will.
The book At Home with the Royal Family is Russell's resume, if you will. But if you're looking for the shocking or the scandalous, look again. The butler only went so far.
She has a sweet tooth for something in a plain chocolate mint-flavoured area, and she likes sorbets. He's a pretty good success, I suppose, walking 3 steps behind the Queen, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, she fascinated me. Her lifestyle fascinated me. They work hard for what they are expected to do, but they're never going to have to look for 3 meals a day or somewhere to sleep at night, are they?
Not exactly Watergate material, but that's as good as it gets. There appears to be an unwritten law. When you aim at the royals, shoot only blanks. James Whittaker of London's Daily Mirror has been on this beat for 15 years.
If any members of the royal family, friends of theirs, start blabbing to the press or to television, nothing is said to them, but the invitations to be with members of the royal family in any capacity will just end overnight.
You've give me one secret about Lady Di, and I'll see if I can get that bear off your head, all right? Just one, something like, does she spank the kids, anything like that? What's the Queen wearing now?
We could actually get locked up if we actually tell you something that we found out the other day.
Now we're getting somewhere, but it's probably too late. You see, if rumors haven't ravaged the royals by now, they probably never will. Let the hairdressers, valets, and butlers throw pebbles into the palace pond. This family just lives on with its head held high, knowing that all its deepest, darkest secrets are safe.
Well, I used to work with a Jewish guy that was circumcised by the same person that did the Prince of Wales.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to broadcast that?
Well, the British do love their gossip, and you might be wondering why more people aren't willing to spill the beans about the royal family for the sake of a couple of bucks. The reason being, really, is that they have to sign a pledge of confidentiality, not only during their employment, but after they leave the employ of the royal family, stating that they will not spill any family secrets.
Obviously, some people take that pledge a little bit more seriously than some other people. Well, you can live like royalty right this week as our Celebrity Secrets continue. We will talk to Channel 8's very own Larry Blackmar from On the Spot. Coming up next, a very special mother-daughter relationship between Pat Nixon and her daughter, Julie. Mother's Day is one of those events we can get all caught up in the commercialism and forget about the real heart of the matter. Well, tonight on PM Magazine, we are going to look at a very special mother-daughter relationship.
That's right. Julie and Trish Nixon grew up in a very harsh political environment. Everybody remembers what Watergate was like. Well, it was their mother, Pat, that really tried to keep some semblance of normality to that family unit. It was a very hard job. Well, Julie Nixon has written a tribute about her mother, dedicated to her mother, and it's called Pat Nixon, The Untold Story.
I've always wanted to achieve the big things, and I didn't want to be bothered with the little things. So if I had a cut or a sprain or something, I just forgot it because there were more important things to think of.
For almost 40 years, Pat Nixon has been in the public eye. Yet, even after she became First Lady, it seems we never really knew her.
Nixon is the biggest. Wow.
Even after a reporter dubbed her Plastic Pat, she just shrugged and kept on smiling.
I don't like criticism, but I also understand that that seems to be the vogue in American political life.
She never let us see any tears when that criticism really hurt, but her daughter Julie saw them.
I think that my mother very often sacrificed how she really felt about public life for the good of what she saw my father was doing.
Most of us know very little about Pat Nixon, except that she married one of the most controversial men in American politics. Now her daughter Julie is filling in some of the gaps with a book, chronicling all that Pat Nixon gave up to follow her husband into public life.
I think she'll like the book, but I must say that I think at the same time, she'll feel that there are parts of it that are too personal, because she's a very private person.
Pat Nixon was born 75 years ago in eastern Nevada. Her family never had much money, and Pat had to work hard to pay her way through college in Southern California, even managing a few jobs as a movie extra. After graduation, she began teaching in Whittier, where she soon met a certain young attorney named Richard Nixon.
They met at a tryout for a little theater play, and when they were leaving the theater, he stopped her on the steps as she was going to her car and said, "You may not believe this, but I'm going to marry you someday."
For the Nixons, marriage was more than romance. It became a political partnership driven by one goal, the White House.
To all who have gathered here, I want to say that
she believed in what he was doing. This has really been what's carried her through and made her the fighter that she is. In '52, when my father was campaigning for vice president, there was pressure for my father to leave the ticket, and Mother said, "Dick, no, we know what you have to do. You have to fight it to the end."
The result, Richard Nixon went on to win the vice presidency. But for Pat, the cost was high. Julie says her mother always regretted the time spent away from her two young daughters.
When she came home from state dinner, she was either helping me with my homework or making curtains, I'm sure. But no, I would often leave notes on her desk saying, "Mommy, you know, please make holes for this project," or "Help me paste this." She'd be coming home from these affairs, and the homework would begin at, late at night.
Then, a few years later, the dream was fulfilled, and the Nixons took over the White House. The Vietnam War was raging and almost tore the country apart. But Julie also recalls at least one minor domestic conflict.
We had 3 dogs at that time, and he really indulged with these dogs. I mean, they were lying on White House furniture and coming in for tidbits from the table, etc. And it was sort of a quiet running battle between my mother and my father on how much damage we were going to let the dogs do.
Then, shortly after the re-election in 1972, the Watergate scandal erupted. Everything Pat had worked for, all the years spent traveling, shaking hands, smiling in the spotlight, came crashing down. But Pat remained at her husband's side to the end.
You were here to say goodbye to us.
It was just difficult to get through each day, really, at the end, because there was so much pressure and, it just...
No one was more affected by Richard Nixon's resignation than Pat. Over the past 10 years, she has battled ill health and the agony of knowing that her husband may never be fully vindicated. But Julie says that her mother's life is now finally a peaceful one. It's a life she can finally call her own.
Actually, I live each day as it comes, and I'm not making plans for the future. I'm trying to do the very most that I can to get my candidate nominated at the moment.
All next week on PM Magazine, we will have a series on First Ladies, starting first off with Jackie O. She is still shrouded in mystery. Then Rosalind Carter. Rosalind is her nickname these days, of the Steel Magnolia. I wonder where she got that one.
That's an interesting one.
Nancy Reagan. Nancy is wonderful for her war on drugs. We'll examine that.
And we'll continue. Lady Bird Johnson. She's going to give the romantic side of her marriage to LBJ, which would be a very, very interesting one.
That.
I like that one an awful lot. And Betty Ford, who's been an inspiration to many of us. Now, get set. We've been telling you about this most of the evening. We have a surprise for you.
We are giving away to the first 15 callers a mum plant here from Little Audrey's, and you'll be able to come and pick it up tomorrow.
Now, that's for the first 15. If you're the lucky 16th caller tonight at PM Magazine, you're going to receive $500 gift certificate just in time for Mother's Day at Little Audrey's here. You can go and spend to your heart's content. Your phone number, 733-5071. 733-5071 for all of those callers. Go for it right now. I hear those phones ringing.
All right. Well, we'll be right back with a look at some of the weekend activities coming up here at the New Market Village.
Well, we certainly have enjoyed ourselves this evening down here at New Market Village. New Market Village is located in the Skidmore Fountain area, one of those beautifully preserved areas in downtown Portland. It's located right on Southwest 2nd and Ankeny.
It's easy to remember. It is the last stop on Max before Max heads out of town. So bring your mother on down this weekend. It is very colorful and festive. And also Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3 p.m., Tom Grant will be performing here live, and it's free also. It's not very often you get to hear Tom Grant these days.
Live or free. Either way. And next week, PM Magazine will continue to celebrate the Northwest with these great getaways. Spring has sprung on PM Magazine. All week long, we'll take you to some of the Northwest's premier getaways. On Monday, travel to Ashland and discover the world of Shakespeare.
And on Tuesday, we'll take you to the beautiful San Juans and take a tour of its luxurious resort called Rosario.
Plus, on Wednesday, it's recreation all the way. Discover Sun River and the beauty that surrounds it in Central Oregon.
Then on Thursday, we're off to the coast, where we discover a hotel with a new twist. Each room is decorated based on the works of numerous authors. Welcome to Sylvia's in Newport.
And on Friday, it's a family affair when we take you to Lake Chelan, Washington. Pick your favorite and get ready to win. It all starts next week on PM Magazine. Well, it looks like some great Northwest getaways next week on PM Magazine. I'm sure you're going to want to tune in.
I love the ideas I get from those. Also next week, remember our series on First Ladies. We'll look at the present First Lady.
The one. Some trespassers, noisemakers down here?
Oh,
not us, officer.
No, we were just doing PM Magazine.
Oh, I'm just joking. Just want to say Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, there you go. Happy Mother's Day. Good night now.
Good night.
Travel arranged through PSA. This summer, come fly to the sun and fun of Southern California on the airline which pioneered low fares in the West. PSA, catch our smile.